You can always tell a good group the when they let the members let their guard down. And it's true though, because I've back in the old days when I walked 5 miles to school in the snow, uh, we used to have trade shows. And these trade shows are still around, but not like they were. And we would go out with our competition, friendly competition. So same mindset, even back then. Negative people can hang around with the negatives, the positives with the positives, and you would share information. Now you might have a couple aces up your sleeve, but you would go out and break bread with your competition. Mm-hmm. And there's always been a problem with many Amazon sellers about sharing their brand. And what I love in this community, anyways, we have a little segment called Trash Your Product, where people actually send us their product. We'll open it up.
Lunch with lunch with lunch with.
Hey everybody, this is Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing why sellers need a community to thrive. We're going to be talking about solopreneurs, and individual sellers and what they're missing by not joining a community. What are some of the benefits of a community, and how can sellers take this to the next step in their business? All right, everybody, welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by VAA Philippines. Looking for a high-quality virtual assistant for your business? With the rigorous screening, intensive Amazon and Walmart training, and ongoing professional development, get the peace of mind with skilled and motivated virtual assistants for a long-term working relationship. Hire through VAA today, and now let's get back to the show. All right, today we're going to be discussing why sellers need a community to thrive. Our guest is a community builder and co-founder of the Titan Network, an incredible community of Amazon sellers. She's also the founder of the China Magic Trip. First-time guest, please welcome Athena Sevari. Welcome, Athena, to the podcast.
Oh my goodness! Hello, Norm.
We don't have a mug yet, so I'm going to have to bring one to San Diego and give you a Lunch with Norm mug.
I need one for sure, 100%.
So, one of the reasons, like I've seen you recently, but one of the reasons I reached out is I was Kevin King, so a mutual friend, pinged me probably about 2 weeks ago, and he said, "Hey, have you heard the AM/PM podcast today?" And I said, "No." He said, "Athena's on." I said, "Oh, that's cool." And usually, he'll tell me when people that are on that I know or people that I should listen to are on. He goes, "You got to listen to the podcast." I went, "Okay." He goes, "No, you really have to listen to this podcast. Athena did a great job." And I went, "All right." So I went out, had a cigar, and I listened to the podcast. And I have to say, it was a really great podcast. So when Kevin tells me I have to do something, I listen to him. And I'm glad I did, because I enjoyed that AM/PM podcast. If you haven't heard it, definitely go over, check out Athena over at the AM/PM podcast. I'm going to see if Kelsey can throw that link up so you get a bit more information about you. So let's talk about this. We met back in 2014, 15?
Yeah.
13, in around there, when you were working with the amazing group, putting on their VIP and their networking sessions. And that is what you do. I mean, you literally are the queen of networking. It's so good. Now, this is why I want to focus on this. We've got a bunch of people that are listening today, and I always talk about going to events, networking at events. And Tell us the reasons why it's so important.
There's so much to this, but I will tell you, when Tony Robbins says that proximity is power, and that you can gain 10 years by being in a room with people who are experienced and have spent, if not a decade, sometimes decades. Maybe it's not the time that they've spent in a certain field, but it's the abilities that people might have.
Mm-hmm.
When you're able to connect with other people who have, special skill sets, special mindsets, special energy, whatever it is, you as a human being are able to increase your ability to grow, not just in business, but in life so rapidly, right? And they say, you're sort of the average of the 5 people that you have around you. I totally believe in that. If you're surrounded by a bunch of negative people who are not ambitious, who are, like if that's what you surround yourself with constantly, it can have an effect upon you. And when you surround yourself with people who are, positive and energetic and accomplishing things and making things happen, it's also contagious. So for me, part of what makes me so interested in human beings and what makes them tick and how they can make progress faster is just really understanding how this proximity with other people can have an impact on them and their progress in life.
Now, there's a lot of people that have started Amazon and they don't have the resources to do that. So they can't go out to a $4, $5, or $1,000, event. What advice can you give to those type of people?
Sure. So there are local meetups. I mean, we have a meetup network all over the world. There's other people that have, meetups constantly. So you can go on, meetup.com, look for an Amazon meetup. You can also connect with other people, maybe through social media, and it doesn't have to be some big, massive thing. It doesn't have to be, it could just be maybe going to lunch with a few people. You would be surprised.
Lunch?
Like lunch with Norm. Exactly. You could go to lunch, like lunch with Norm. But there's many ways to connect, and social media actually brings a lot of people a lot closer, but it also causes distance in an odd sort of way. So I really believe in that in-person connection is much more powerful than a Zoom meeting, for example. So if they're not able to, get to an event yet, there's definite ways, and there are inexpensive events. For example, there's some events that are a couple $100 and it's totally worth the money. If you're on Amazon, you hopefully have a budget to go and spend a couple $100 on an event ticket, and it would be worth every penny because, I met you at an event. I've met I met Dan Ashburn, my business partner, at an event. I've met some of my closest friends in the entire world and people who've inspired me and helped me through so many things. So like that, even if it is $1,000 ticket, put it on a freaking credit card if you have to. If you're in this industry for real, like it might be worth spending that money to spend 2 or 3 days immersing yourself in this community, and then really make sure that by the end of it, even if you have 10 people that you can count on, that you can talk to, it's going to pay itself over so many times.
Yeah, exactly. And like you were saying, just people that give this positive energy or this give to get mentality, they flock together.
Yeah.
And just to share. I mean, I was at your Toronto event and listening to Chris, for example, Chris Rawlings. He's out there. He doesn't have to be there. Mm-hmm. And what happens with that is people get that sense of give to get, and they just absorb. And there's really, when people don't feel they're obligated to give something back and it's strictly for the sharing, then you can grow, and then you can let your guard down, and then you can go and break bread with people, and then you can talk about family, and then all of this stuff, which a lot of people don't really consider when they go to an event. Zoom virtual summits, I'm putting one on, but my Zoom virtual summit is a Zoom virtual summit. It's not going to be the ability to, like Kevin and I talk about, sitting around the campfire, having a cigar and just talking. And as much as you could be at a high level event, you learn so much information and learn so much for your business, personal life, everything, mindset, people that have failed. And I always call it failed to succeed. So how did you fail to succeed? And anyways, there's just so many things that you can do. Like even Carlo, like Carlos Alvarez, the
Mhm.
time he puts into the Wizards of eCommerce, he calls it now, but like 16 meetups. He's got 16 meetups he puts on, and it's free. So
Yeah.
just you do the same thing. There's so many different events. Or if there is a charge, like I was at your Toronto event, and very reasonably priced. It was like,
Oh,
what
it was
was
like
it?
$150, and we gave them beautiful 5-star lunch. We
Yeah.
had networking with some of the top speakers in the entire world. It was in beautiful, like the one hotel. I mean, it was stunning. We did breakfast. It was like a whole thing.
But
So
I can guarantee you that the people that were sitting in the room, and I knew, I knew a few of them. I
mhm.
knew, yeah, I probably knew about 10 people, maybe a bit more in the room. And at the end of it, they really grew as a business person because they were able to absorb this information. You brought in some people that I didn't know, that I'm sitting there, right? Like, the people at the end that, wow, this is so cool. I got to meet and sit and chat with these people. That Who was the one lady that you brought in? I think she was the very first speaker. She was awesome. She was talking about
Yeah,
influencer.
Melissa Fong, she's 27 years old, has built and sold 3 brands, is partner in 5, and is a influencer wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she came on my China Magic trip. We came very close, and she comes in and she doesn't have to do this. Like she just really wants to impact people. We actually had lunch the other day here in Tampa, and we had a small table, 8-figure sellers. Melissa, there's actually a guy who's a genuine rock star who's just a marketing wizard as well. Like, and this table of like 8 to 10 people, the conversations that were going back and forth, the value that you can create when you're just around these kinds of people, like that's really the base of everything that I believe in.
Another area for us to discuss too, and this goes back, usually these are free communities.
Mhm.
There are some that are paid, so these mastermind communities, but communities, and I'm starting to know more and more about Titan. I'm sure you probably have this community set up, but just a Facebook group or a circle group or some type of Telegram group where people can go ask questions, and they're not expecting to have to pay to play. Right.
Mhm.
This is a free group that everybody gives back. We have the Lunch with Norm eCommerce and Amazon FBA Collective. And that's just a community of, 3,000+ people that are experts, and people add questions and they get answered. That's
Mhm.
one place where you can start to build a community. But let's talk about like your community. You've set it up in different layers, haven't you?
Yeah, so I think it kind of goes back a little bit if we were to take it back. And I did talk
Yeah.
a little bit about this with Kevin King, but I started off. I grew up in Los Angeles, right? And I was working with artists back in the day when I was around 19 years old. And I remember coming in, and when you're this young, a lot of times you see life with a very raw perspective, right? And I remember seeing that the people that would teach the musicians to be musicians had never actually gone out and had a hit song. The people that would teach the actors how to do acting, they might have understood the theory of it, but they never really made it on any significant movies. And they're yet teaching a room full of people, starry eyed, who moved to Los Angeles from all over the world to become that big thing, to
Hmm.
become the Angelina Jolie, to become the Tom Cruise, they wanted to become an A-list celebrity, yet they had no contact with an A-list celebrity to actually coach them into creating their career, right? And I thought this was the weirdest thing. So what I started to do was really hone my networking skills and bring through casting directors, working actors, working musicians, and some of the biggest names in Hollywood to come through and actually do these seminar trainings for the people. And I was told that that 1 hour, that 2 hours with someone that had actually accomplished what they're looking to accomplish was more effective than a year of the other type of coaching where the person hadn't actually accomplished it, right? So fast forward, I have my kids and I need a different type of schedule. So I'm working, at a consulting firm in corporate. And my friend Ari Cohen, I know you know.
I know Ari.
They're super lovely. They were actually, at working with me. And that's when he said, I'm selling kitchen products on Amazon. I was like super fascinated because I wanted to find something that I could do. I always knew I was an entrepreneur deep down, but I just wasn't willing to take that risk yet. When I heard about that, I'm like, give me a piece of it. And I actually released my first product, what I'm actually wearing right now. This is my first product, Norm. I've actually never worn it in public or even mentioned it, but I'm just going to flash the little pocket. Yeah, it kind of alters my spirit animal right here.
There you go.
I released these yoga headbands, and within 4 months, I was able to quit my job. The reason I'm kind of bringing all this up is that when I went to my first event, and this was, one of the Amazon events, kind of like the one I met you at, we were listening to guys on stage, and some of them were amazing. Some of them were very effective. You, by the way, absolutely nailed it because you came through with brand story and differentiating products and creating a customer experience and things that was fascinating. So there's definitely speakers that would come on stage and they really knew their stuff and it would create a lot of impact. But there were also a lot of stage speakers that would just kind of come in and do the same thing, kind of go over the theory because maybe they weren't in the trenches in the moment, right? And you see a lot of that on people's stages. So I remember I was hosting a dinner with about 100 people at my first event, just out of word of mouth. And at the dinner, what I did is I said, if there's anyone here who's doing over 7 figures, and at the time, this was years ago, that was like the biggest deal ever, right? Please stand up and give these guys a couple things that you've been doing in the last 12 months to help you get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those few people spoke about very specific things that had gotten them there. And I got the feedback, once again, I got more out of this dinner than I did most of the entire event. Because I'm connecting with people who are giving me straight and who are actually in the trenches doing what needs to happen. So in that moment, as the people were speaking, I announced that we were now doing a cruise, right? Didn't have the cruise figured out, had no idea where this cruise was going. But I knew that we were now going to do a cruise. So I decided what week, it was like in June or something, like we're going to do a cruise on the 10th of June. And I literally went to those 5 people that had stood up and I said, hey, you want to be one of my speakers on this cruise? And they all said yes. One of them was Angie Chacon, who has built such a massive, amazing business and has traveled the world on stage, and she's amazing. The other one was Michael Espy, who's now a multi-8-figure seller. And so I really did pick right. These guys were wonderful. And we did a cruise in a similar fashion. And in that moment, I started to design sort of the crux of everything else that I've done, whether it's China Magic, whether it's Titan, whether it's these small events that we do, kind of like what you saw in Toronto, where I'm bringing through people who have accomplished certain things, and I'm connecting them with people that are trying to achieve those certain things. And I'm giving them a space where they get to actually have real conversation and sit next to them and talk to them, break bread, as you say, instead of it just being a stage sort of situation. And that's kind of the base of everything, and that is sort of the secret. But here's the other part of the secret. There is a magic to people trusting each other. And there's a magic to a culture that you have to create in order to have that camaraderie, right? And I think that that's one of the key components to all of this is without that openness, without that trust, you don't see the people come through with the real good stuff, which is why at events sometimes, I've heard this a lot, you hang out in the hot tub, you hang out at the bar, and sometimes some of the most impactful conversations are happening when you guys are in a little circle with cigars instead of just being in the conference room, So there's just a whole lot of magic to this whole thing. And for me, it's really the way that I can impact people.
Yeah. And also like the campfire is something that I always use. It's that symbol. But I know that I was an event in it happened a few times, but the event that I went to in Mexico, I brought the kids down. 2 of our kids, Kelsey, Hayden, are both work in the company. The other The other one, oh my God, he's the troublemaker, but he's in university right now. But all of these really high level sellers and service providers like Leo Scovio,
Oh yeah.
okay, Justin Cobb, Tim Jordan, like all these guys that were at this event were all hovering around the pool table having a blast. And the next day, it was all of a sudden relationships started to change. And like I remember Kelsey, Richard was there, and Christine, and just so many people. All of a sudden, the event turned into it was a bit. All of a sudden, it becomes not just for professionals, but it becomes more of a friendship. So I've got so many people that like call me for personal things, or we talk about personal things rather than business. Like business is secondary. It's always there. It's in the background. And if I need help or if they need help, they could always reach out. And that's the other thing. I saw this with an event in Vegas. Forget which one. It was Prosper. Anyways, I dodged out with Kevin in the afternoon to have a cigar, and these people came over and they asked Kevin, oh, are you Kevin King? Yes. And anyways, they were kind of leery about sitting down at the table. And Kevin, well, sit down, sit down. You got any friends? Bring them over. And by the end of the show, they exchanged information, and it was really great to see, that now the group of friends grow and grow and grow. So I know I'm going down a different rabbit hole, but events are more than events. And if you really are going to get into this game, and you want to go to an event, I could tell you right now, like the people that are on here, Luke, Coolhead 99, we've had cigars together. I can't scroll. Why can't I? Simon, if he's on today, I've gone out with him over in London. Tom, he actually picked me up at the airport in London. So that was awesome. Chuck had cigars with him and met his wife. Let me see here. Steve Fillion. Yeah, went out with him. There's so many people that are listening right now that I actually know from our community. Mm-hmm. And it's so awesome to do that. So that's why I thought today, we just talk about community and events and, something that you are awesome at. But one thing though, people don't know you as a seller. And they think, like Athena does events, but she knows nothing about Amazon. And that is the farthest from the truth.
Yes.
So not only do you know Amazon, you're a seller on Amazon. You've actually been working with your kids to bring them up as entrepreneurial e-commerce sellers as well. Mm-hmm. But the networking is something that I think, maybe I'm saying this wrong, was a side gig to your Amazon brand. And then it turned into, wow, I can really help people.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for that. So I started off, selling. And one thing that I think is very important, and I know that you're very good at this, is understanding your actual superpowers, what you're best at, and then either partnering, delegating, hiring, something with the things that you're not, right? Just like really understanding the things that you should leverage within yourself. So when I started off in this Amazon world, I was looking to quit my job, which I did, and I was making 6 figures. So I was able to sustain my life through purely selling, right? Then when I started to do events, I did that cruise for free. Like I didn't make any money from it, right? Mm-hmm. I used to do dinners all the time, because I love networking. I love the connection, but also there is so much power to that collective contribution, both of brain power and resources. Hey, I'm really good at building community. I'm great at branding, I'm great at product development. This is in real life. These are things I'm very good at, but I'm not good at PPC. I'm really not. I'm not good at, things that are very technical. So some of the things that we would do in the beginning is, I'd say, hey, can you help me tweak my campaigns? And I'll help you create a Facebook group around your brand. Hell yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's something that I learned, which was I'm really, really uber good at this. I'm very lucky that I found my business partner, Dan, who's very, very good at structure and systems. And we now own 14 Amazon brands together, right? I don't do the PPC. I don't do the things that, I'm not good at. I don't even push the buttons like I did, but we have over 200 staff. We have a full platform for scale. We have our own software that's proprietary, that's only within Titan. We have, the largest mastermind in the world for Amazon sellers. We've got all these things going, but I wouldn't have accomplished that if I would have focused strictly on trying to do it all myself, right? And so, yeah, I definitely have my street cred, but here's the other thing. I've never pretended to be the technical person in the room. I leave that to others, right? Because that's their skill set. I stick to what I'm amazing at, which is bringing through talent like yourself and creating unique experiences. But also, people don't know this. The Titan design, that's me. Being able to separate people by level, being able to understand that every level of the journey as a seller, when you're brand new, when you're doing, 10 to 50,000 a month, 50 to 170, guys doing over 3 million don't belong learning the same stuff as a guy who's brand new. Right? And the guys who are doing 8 figures and above, which is our newest group, they have a whole other set of things, and they're really what kind of got them here isn't going to get them there. And so all of a sudden, a lot of their structure starts to fall apart. They hit a scaling wall. There's a lot of things that happen that I very much do understand and facilitate to be able to serve people at all different levels. So I'm glad that you asked me that, Norm, because yes, started off fully as a seller, realized my true talent and passion, and was able to use that to help other people. And meanwhile, thanks to Dan and thanks to our amazing team, was able to now scale to having many, many brands. And it's been really fun so far.
You can always tell a good group when they let the members let their guard down. And it's true though, because back in the old days when I walked 5 miles to school in the snow, we used to have trade shows, and these trade shows are still around, but not like they were. And we would go out with our friendly competition. So same mindset, even back then. Negative people can hang around with the negatives, the positives with the positives, and you would share information. Now you might have a couple aces up your sleeve, but you would go out and break bread with your competition. Mm-hmm. And there's always been a problem with many Amazon sellers about sharing their brand. And what I love in this community, anyways, we have a little segment called Trash Your Product, where people actually send us their product. We'll open it up, we'll trash it, or we'll tell them what's good about it, and people aren't worried about it. That's when your group is in sync, because they're not worried. They understand that there might be somebody negative in here, and they might try to take an idea. Okay, but like, for example, when I first really started hanging around with Kevin King, we were actually having our first cigar together on a beach in Hawaii, and he sold bully sticks, I sold bully sticks. We weren't hiding the fact. We were actually talking about marketing strategies. And at the end of the day, if he was able to drive more traffic over to the search page, or I was able to, or the combination ended up being more traffic, then it comes down to the listing. Who wins? And I'm not worried about that, nor was he. We had all these other people that, hey, if we could take their business, I'm fine with it. But that's what I love about the community, is when you drop the guard and you're not worried about the brand. Everybody knows my brands, they're out there. I talk about them. I show them, and same with a lot of other people that are on this podcast have shared their brands. And that's when I know that the community now is starting to gel.
I love that. I love that, Norm. And I will say that this very much aligns with the concept of building a real brand, which is something you're very, very good at and you advocate for completely, because I think that mentality of like, don't share what you're doing was very much part of that whole Me Too era, right? Because if everyone's selling the same garlic press, right? Like there's this whole thing with it, right? But if you're the guy that owns Dracula, that little Dracula guy, and it's so unique and it's got its own everything and its own audience and its own whatever, it's like you don't care if somebody else finds out you're the guy that sells Dracula. By the way, if you are ever listening, Dracula guy, I love you. You know which brand that is. I forget the name, but they have like the dinosaur soup spoon. They're just super, super like out of the box, when it comes to the kitchen. And I love it. I mean, I'm a mom. My kids are a little older, but I think these products are super fun. I buy them all the time. So when you've got something unique and special, I don't think that competition stuff is even something you need to have in your vocabulary, and kind of like there's lots of China trips that have popped up over the years, right? But like I know that China Magic has this very unique magic because we bring people to China like you, Norm. We didn't even announce that yet. But like Norm, yes, Norm is going to be one of our mentors on our trip to China, which is just so amazing because of all of the beautiful skills and things that you bring to the table. When you were in Toronto talking to my guys, they were just completely blown out of their minds. Not good enough. They're like, really, does it have to be over? Can't we just move to another room? Like, Norm has to go, guys. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. So yeah, so like super excited to have you, be on our trip. But like, I remember back in the day, even with my headbands, I'd freak out whenever there was competition, but I feel like if you are unique and you have your own brand and your own voice, there's certain people that are going to relate to you and they're going to relate to your products and they're going to relate to everything that you're doing. And then on the other side, you want to have that abundance mindset and just know that there's so much opportunity out there. So I love when people share their brands. I love when people share what they're doing because it really is the mentality of together we're stronger instead of everyone's an island. And when you go with it together, you're stronger vibe, everyone as a community wins.
Right. Absolutely. So that it's just so important, even if you're at an event and somebody's in the pet supply business or, whatever it could be, an outdoor, somebody has it's competition. Don't be afraid to sit down. Don't hide. The only person that's going to lose is you. If you're not willing to share some information. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and share all of your marketing strategies or your launch strategies. You don't have to do that, but don't be afraid to take part in a conversation or even start a conversation. I am having problems with this. I am in this category. Boom. You can start to build out. And by the way, I can't believe we've talked for like 43 minutes, but we do have to go to a commercial break. But let me just say, I know we have a bunch of people listening right now. If you're listening for the first time, we have something called the Wheel of Kelsey, and that is a prize that we give away at the end of every podcast. Today, it's a crazy prize. It's $4,000 in the total prize. It's crazy. So if you're interested, first of all, yes, get your ears perked up. Okay, now if you're interested in it, it's just hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. But before you do that, you might want to know what the prize is. Athena, what's the prize?
Okay, so we are going to be having a beautiful event in San Diego on October 6th through 8th, and you are invited to have 2 platinum tickets to come to our event. So Norm's going to be one of our speakers. Kevin King is going to be there. Andrew Erickson. We're going to be doing a whole AI thing. And Andrew, by the way, won this whole AI thing that he competed in. He's just amazing. So there's going to be a yacht with breakfast burritos and mimosas. We're going to be having a whole bonfire thing on the beach, which is going to be amazing. And one of the things that we love to do in our events is hands-on implementation. You did something with those codes, Norm, which was amazing. And people actually were able to save, I think one guy saved $16,000 just off of that one tweak, right? And then we had that guy doing the thing with the different products, like in the room. So we're going to be doing a lot of that hands-on workshop stuff. And so you're going to get 2 of those platinum tickets, as well as 3 months of Titan Network. And that's our
There you go. Now, Titan Network is not cheap, but it's well worth it. It's $1,000 a month. It's $3,000 that you're going to get, Athena. And I just asked her, I said, this is 30 seconds before we went on. Oh, by the way, in case you don't know, I need a prize. If you can't, I'll provide one. She goes, no, I'll do that. All you need to do, though, is you have to get to San Diego and, get there the cheapest way. This is an event. When they put on events, it's always great. I saw what they were doing in Toronto and really liked what I saw from the group, the Titan Network. And then secondly, those 3 months free. Just imagine the amount of information and what you can learn in that community.
They start off with a one-on-one strategy call. So when someone joins Titan, they get a full analysis of the business, the strengths, the weaknesses. They get an actual plan of action, and that's being done by a multi-million-dollar seller. Like the people doing the coaching themselves are Amazon business owners in the trenches right now, multi-7 figures. So they're going to get that, and they're going to get to connect with our entire platform, our software, all our strategy for 3 months as a super special prize from us to this person in honor of our fabulous friend Norm.
All right, that's fantastic. And by the way, if you win the prize and you can't get to the San Diego trip, don't worry about it. You're not obligated.
I'll give them the next event that they can come to. We have a beautiful one. We have them all over the world. We have a whole holiday thing going on. We have one in London. We have one in Miami. We're doing one in Toronto. So don't worry, I got you. Wherever you are, we'll find a good place for you.
Okay. So that's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Tag 2 people. You'll get the second entry. And now, Kels, let's go to a commercial. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by SureGo Marketing. Ready to take your brand to the next level on TikTok and Instagram? SureGo Marketing specializes in helping entrepreneurs and coaches build profitable brands on TikTok and Instagram, and in less than 90 days. With SureGo Marketing, you could build your brand, create incredible video content, and increase leads without spending a single dime on ad spend. Visit SureGoMarketing.com today and elevate your brand. Now, let's get back to the show. Hey, before I forget, because I'm an old guy, Kelsey, can you come on for a sec?
Hello.
I forget. Now I know what I was going to talk about.
Okay.
Our influencer marketing challenge, right? So this month, unbelievably, and I'm going to put this a lot on Kelsey, but we got a check from Amazon for over $2,000, and we got sponsorships for probably another, I'm talking about commissions that come in, probably another 1,000 or 2. So as I was mentioning, if you're trying to become a influencer, become like site hustle, we only put in now about an hour a day, and we're getting that. However, I have to say that I put in a lot of time in shoppable videos to start to get some traffic. Kelsey's now nailed it. We were going down the wrong path. He nailed it. And that's what an entrepreneur is all about, is understanding the ebbs and flows of the business. And if something's not working, cut quick, like fail quick, go to the next one. And I was very proud when I opened up. I had no idea what was coming in, and I got this check from Amazon going, I was thinking it was a few $100, $2,000 plus the thousands, probably close to $2,000 in other fees that we were able to receive. And we're doing this as a side hustle. So just remember that if you're checking this out, you can go to LWN Deals and check out Kelsey. We are journaling this so we can show Amazon sellers how easy it is to find influencers, how to become an influencer, and how to become your own brand's ambassador. It's all there for you. It's all free. We're not charging anything. And if you want to participate and send us your products, we're still doing that as well. We'll do the Amazon Live, we'll do shoppables, and we put it to our social media. Anything to say to that, Kels?
I think you covered pretty much all of it. If you want to check out what I'm doing on TikTok, just search LWN Deals. But basically, I'm just doing some discounts and codes for Amazon and promoting different products that I think fit with me. And I focus on quality and just trying to learn every day what I'm doing wrong or what I'm doing right, and then trying to just build on that. And yeah, we're getting close to 10K followers. We're not there yet, but we're around 8,000. Just over 8,000.
Tell Athena about it, and she'll blast it out to her network, and we'll get to 10K.
Okay. I'll get my mommies on it. I'll get my mommies.
All right.
All right, awesome.
We need mommies. Okay.
Yeah, I have a whole mommy crew. We'll dive into those deals. We like deals.
Perfect. So I don't know how I forgot about it, but anyways, Kelsey, congrats. You did a great job.
That was so great. By the way, Norm, I'm inspired by Kelsey. I've been trying to train my kid to do like video stuff with me and different things. I'm like, can you run my podcast? My son's 15. So I'm like so inspired by your and Kelsey's relationship. It's so great.
If he ever needs any info, Kelsey can definitely help.
Oh my God, how cute would that be? And I think that's a big deal. I think that like that's a huge part of what all of this is for, is like also inspiring that next generation to, you know, think outside the box and know that they can create whatever life they want to create. And I think that, you know, that's really special to see your son, you know, working with you. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, this is the positive of COVID. All the guys came back, lived with us, and then we started to figure out some of this stuff. So this is a COVID project that's still going strong.
Love
so
it.
let's get back.
What value can I give your guys? Like, I would love to, anything that I can do to impact them in terms of, you know, their mindset on what's achievable. You know, I think that it's really important for you guys to shortcut all of the mistakes that people make, you know, get the wins without the scars.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good topic. So networking, yes. Events, yes. You know, learning from people, reading a lot of, you know, amazing, or listening to audiobooks, you know, connecting with people who have been through a lot of, you know, trials and tribulations. I like reading books that have to do with business studies, so I can see what made people win and what didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think there's just so many ways that you can speed up your progress as an entrepreneur, because sadly, a lot of the things that you need to know, they're not taught to you in school.
Right.
You're not going to find how to read a P&L in school, which is absolutely bonkers, right?
Yeah.
They'll teach you to write a resume. They won't teach you to read a resume or to build a team, right? They're not going to teach you a lot of times, depending on what school, much about marketing, sales, any of these things, right? So where do you have to learn? Well, you have to learn from the people who've achieved it. And sometimes the people selling it are not the same as the people achieving it.
Very good. And that reminds me to learn more. I'm going to give you an example of what I did with ChatGPT just recently.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to learn more about Python, okay, to write code, and wasn't familiar with it. I know it's important. And so I set up and I just asked ChatGPT to write me a curriculum for 30 minutes a day. That's all I had to spend. And how long would it take? ChatGPT gave me an incredible outline curriculum over the next 3 months, what I need to do once a day for 30 minutes, explained the details. It gave me the course, gave me the information, gave me the tutorials to do this. Now imagine if you wanted to do that about knowing your numbers. Mm-hmm. You said a PL. Out of everybody that's listening right now, do you know your numbers? Ask ChatGPT to write you out a curriculum, learn 30 minutes a day or once a week or on a Saturday for an hour. And what do you need to know? It will provide you with the information. And if ChatGPT doesn't do it, try Claude or try one of the other LLMs. But anyways, try that and you'll see this is something that I heard about, and it's just incredible what you can learn about community, about networking, about what questions to ask if you're not familiar with, or you're a little bit nervous about going and meeting somebody. All of that etiquette, whatever it is. So this is something that I think it would be very useful to people to do. One question I have for you: your smiles, you're always positive. Everybody thinks this incredibly successful, empowered woman. Tell me about your failures, or your biggest failure.
Where do I begin?
How did you fail to succeed?
Oh, Norm, I think I waited too long to get started. I think that's one, probably. I think I underestimated my potential on a lot of things. And I think because of that, I think really, I mean, one of my favorite quotes that Kevin actually quoted in his newsletter the other day is, the most money you'll ever lose is the money you never gained, right? And I think that instead of having like some major catastrophe, I think it's more that I feel like could have built more momentum sooner if I would have been willing to take more risk. Even when I started on Amazon, I remember ordering my first product, and it was just about $3,000 or $4,000 for my first order. I remember being so scared. What was I scared of? Was I going to be homeless if that didn't work out? No. Was it the end of the world if it didn't work out? No. But there's just these like inner fears that people kind of build within themselves, and it doesn't allow them to make progress. So I think if there's anything that I would say is my biggest failure, was just not going in hard enough, fast enough, soon enough, and to create enough momentum earlier in my life. I didn't really discover Amazon until I was in my 30s, which doesn't sound too old, but I would have liked to have done this in my 20s so that I would have already had an operating business by the time I had my kids. Because my biggest regret in life, here it is not being able to be with my babies when they were super young. Because I had to go to the office, and because I was stressed about money, and I was stressed about things. And I think that that's probably one of my biggest drivers in wanting to do Titan. I've never even said this before. You're pulling something out of me that I haven't really talked about very much. But I think one of my biggest drivers is I don't want other people to make the mistakes that I did, of being stressed, of being trapped, of not tapping into their potential out of fear, out of feeling like they need to be safe, out of whatever it is that holds us back. Because I did do that. I lost the beginnings of my children's life being in an office, and that time I'll never get back.
But now, because you've invested the time, they travel around with you.
They do. They travel with me. My 15-year-old's developing his own, apparently his own social media company as of late. He's also got his DJ business. Like, he's got all these things going, I love it. Like, some of them I know he'll make. He's only 15, so he's trying to figure things out, But I love seeing his spirit. And I think that if I would have stayed in an office, that's the example I would have been setting to him. Right. Because a lot of his friends want to go to college to get a mundane job, and that's like their goal in life, right? So I think that, we want to live a life that doesn't have regrets, and we want to achieve things to help others. And like, I talk to thousands of people. So there's one thing that I know is that, people want to live a beautiful life, whatever that means to them. Right. And I think a lot of times, out of fear or lack of resources or whatever it is, people don't go hard enough to achieve it. And I think that that's probably something that I myself have had to break through, and something that I really enjoy hearing other people's stories and how they were able to break through. Because I think the sooner you break through those fears, the sooner you're going to achieve amazing things. And the world needs people that are willing to break through and achieve amazing things.
Very good. Well said, Athena. I threw a curveball, didn't I?
You can throw any balls you want.
All right.
I got it. I'm not bad.
Out of the park. Out of the park.
No worries.
Okay. All right. Thought I'd get you on that one, and you'd knock it out of the park.
Not at all. I mean, I hadn't actually been asked that question, but I think that is my biggest failure is not building something soon enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was a really good answer. Kels, we have a couple of questions. Can we get to those?
Yes, absolutely. First one is from Fit. What would be your suggestion for a first book to read in our industry? There's so many. Please point me in the right direction. Thanks.
I'm going to defer that to Norm.
I can tell you, the number one game changer that I have ever read, you'll hear about it in the newsletter, but the E-Myth, Michael Gerber, and it's all about systems, automation, delegation. Those are the three things that you need to do if you're a solopreneur, right on to crossing that chasm and growing a huge hyper growth organization. So that's probably the biggest game changer in my career. That was 1995. I actually went through the E-Myth Academy and learned all this really cool stuff.
Love that. I've got so many books on my Audible that I'm just not even going to answer that question. I love things like Ready, Fire, Aim, Good to Great. I'm really obsessed with Alex Hormozy right now. I think that the two books he's put out are really amazing. Like anything having to do with entrepreneurship, or even, oh my God, there's one about every level. I'll get a whole list and I'll send them to you. Normally.
Perfect. We do have a book list as well on our site. So.
Yeah, and they say that, like, the more successful people, they really do consume a lot of knowledge. So I think that's a really good thing. It's like definitely the E-Myth. I've met Michael Gerber. He's amazing, but I do think, like, just get in there and be constantly, like, when I exercise, I'm listening to books or podcasts. Driving back from somewhere, like any place, like on the plane, instead of watching stupid movies, I'm listening to books. You know what I mean? So I think that's a really good thing for anyone. Like a really good tip is just always be in there, instead of watching Netflix, like get in there and just learn from anyone that has accomplished the things that you're trying to accomplish. I think that's a really good tip.
I've always said to the kids that if you want to learn something about something completely new, 1 hour a day for a year, you'll become an expert.
Love that. Love that so much.
Okay. Question, Kels.
Okay. Talking about events, can you claim these type of events off as business expenses for tax?
Yes. Hello. I wish I was Mark Cuban. The way to live like Mark Cuban. No, just kidding. You have to check with your tax person. We are obviously not advisors, but business expense. I remember sitting in a beautiful hotel on the beach thinking, this is a business expense? Amazing. So you actually can expense learning, connecting with great people, traveling all over the world. If you think about it, it is like such a cool win-win-win. So you obviously have to make sure with your tax advisors, but yeah, definitely a business expense from what I've experienced.
Yeah, and if you are in a profitable situation, again, not an accountant, not a lawyer, but my accountant said to me, this is years ago, why are you sitting in economy? Why are you not sitting in business class? Well, it's so expensive. Duh. You've got a write-off here. Start work. Just whatever you do, don't be stupid about it. And if I, like right now, if I have certificate upgrades, I'm going to use them. I'm not going to pay that, right? But if I don't, well, I was talking to you about it recently, and by you can get a fairly low cost ticket and get upgraded. That's all great, but I always travel, and this is no ego. I try not to have an ego when it comes to this type of crap. I'll just go business class for everywhere I go. And at the end of the year, I just write it off.
I love
It's
it.
for business. Now, if it's personal, don't screw around with the government. If it's personal, be careful. And I'll tell you another area to be very careful in is if you have a business card and you're getting loyalty points. My buddy, a very good friend of mine, got fined $40,000 for using business loyalty points on a family vacation. Be just know what you're doing before you do that. Anything that's business related, keep business. Anything personal, keep personal. So I have different cards, personal, business, and I keep those completely separate. But talk to your accountant. The boys, they have their own businesses. I tell them, talk to the accountant to see what the proper write-offs are. So anyways, that's
Yeah.
my spiel.
I love that. Another thing, sorry, just really fast. Gosh, first we just can talk all day, so we won't make this podcast much longer, I promise, guys. But I will tell you this: if you think about the ROI on events, right, and if you think about the ROI on being part of an elite community, when you're going there, you're learning things that are going to make your business progress, right?
Yep.
And so I've been part of masterminds that are 50K, 100K, 36K. And like we mentioned earlier, sometimes like I was sitting next to this one guy at lunch and he gave me a perspective that changed the course of what I was going to do with an entire business model that I was working on, right? That was like a convo at lunch. So like, if you can get yourself out there, whether it's a free meetup, whether it's, you get what you paid for. Let's just be honest, right? Like if you go to the $1 billion seller summit, right? You're going to be around certain levels of people. If you go to SellerCon, if you come to my events, if you go to any of these things, like they're optimized for a reason. But that doesn't mean that you can't go to like a free thing and still get like tons and tons
Right.
of value, so just go wherever you can. But the whole point is go and meet people, connect with them. You have no idea the value that you're going to get. You might be some guy that you end up becoming business partners with, or who knows, but get out there, live. That's really, I think, out of everything that we've talked about today, Norm, that's probably the advice that I would stand behind the most. Is like, if you want to get to a certain place, be around the people that have gotten there. It'll fast forward. It'll help you avoid the main mistakes that all of us have made. My first 2 products were headbands and they went really, really well. I decided that I was now Lululemon and I didn't know how to source from very well. And I went downtown and I bought like $25,000 worth of this attire without even trying it on, thinking that I was going to now be such a great Amazon seller, right? And I get home and I didn't realize it was 80 different SKUs. I didn't even know how to, upload a flat file at the time. Like I was so lost. I was in tears. 25 grand was a lot of money for me at the time. You know what I mean? And if I would have just had a mentor in my life at that time and just said, hey, my first 2 products went really well, I'm thinking of doing this, they would have been like, whoa. Attire is a terrible category to get into with no experience. You haven't, tested any of this. Like, what are you doing? It would have saved me a lot of, grief, money, time, and just the embarrassment. You know what I mean? And so I think that like just being around people, being around, successful, amazing people is important, but don't go at it. Oh, here's something very important. The more mature sellers, they know how to kind of hold themselves. If you're newer to the industry, don't walk around just trying to get. No one's going to want to do, like, no one likes that, right? Go in there with value. And I think one of the best lines that I love to promote to people is, if you walk up to Norm, say, hey, Norm, tell me about yourself. Tell me about things. How did you achieve, don't just go up there and like ask, like find out about the person, be a human being. And if you have anything that can add value to them, maybe of a really cool restaurant in the area. Maybe, you have a background in something awesome, like anything that you can bring through, try to bring through some element of, value, because then the person's going to feel like really like you're a human being and that you're not just asking. And I think that that's really key with networking.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. It's always nice when, for example, Danon Coleman, Danon.
Yeah.
So we're on the online sellers cruise, and all of a sudden he comes up, he says, "I got you." What are you talking about? He hands me a bunch of cigars, and it was like, oh, that's awesome, but it could be anything at all. And don't be afraid of approaching a speaker or presenter. That's, for the most part, it's awesome if you do, and nobody's running. If you see, Athena, at her events. She's always there. She's talking to people. So don't be afraid to approach. I just wanted to say, I saw a comment from Tom. That's AMZ Elite. And that's a good point as well. Is if you are bigger, even a mid-sized company, you can consider having that second company where you put the assets in. And that's absolutely 100% correct. I do that. So anyways, you can always talk to your accountant about that and get that set up.
Yeah. You get to write off going to magical places, meeting magical people, and learning how to grow your business, and also giving back and helping others do the same. That to me sounds like a freaking perfect life.
That's right. Okay, Athena.
Yes.
How do people get a hold of you and the Titan Network?
So go to titannetwork.com. Also, China Magic, which we didn't talk a lot about, it's a 10-day trip. Norm's going to be on the one in October. We still have a few spots left, and we have one coming up in April. You can go to ChinaMagicTrip.com, and you can connect with me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Nobody answers messages but me. I'm very approachable. I genuinely really love to help people. I love to hear the stories of, inspiration that they've gotten from any of the things that I do to help them to achieve success, because honestly, that is my purpose. And it was amazing today, Norm, that you helped me realize why this purpose is so strong for me. You really did bring that out of me, because I remember just sitting there feeling helpless and bringing my then 2-year-old to preschool, and he'd cry and I would cry. We weren't ready to be apart, and not having a solution. And Amazon was that solution for me. It was a way for me to then be able to bring him back home. And those days that we got to go to the zoo, they're some of the most precious days of my life. And so I feel like Amazon can create a beautiful, amazing freedom for people. They need to understand the game. They need to treat it as professionals. They can't do it haphazardly anymore. It just doesn't work out very well unless you're looking to make a couple $100 side cash. You got to be a professional. You got to learn the game. And it's a beautiful game full of beautiful, magical people like yourself who are out here willing to give. I mean, you do this podcast. You don't need to be doing this. You got all kinds of other things going on, but you take the time because you really genuinely care. I've seen it. I've seen you there helping people. And there's just some really beautiful people in this community. And I love it. And anything I can do to support you and anyone in it, I'm here for you.
Awesome. And that's basically living life on your terms.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what, if you're into it, don't forget, I have to say this, you have to be resilient. I can guarantee you that Athena's probably been kicked 100 or 1,000 times by our Amazon friend. And, you have to get back up. Go ahead.
Sorry, you get shut down, you get all kinds of things can happen. You lose tons of money, and it's very easy to feel like you're done.
Yeah.
So I put on the smile, but yes, I have a lot of scars from these last 8 or 9 years. And it can be from other people, and it can be from competitors, and it can be from people that don't understand you. Sometimes it's your own family. Sometimes it's your friends that aren't actually friends. There's people out there that might not want to see you succeed. And you talk about, oh, look, I'm doing these great things. And they look at you kind of funny, there's so much out there. But
how are you really making your money?
And the people that you grew up with that, are happy with their 9 to 5, and they're happy with the way that they live life. And they see you having these exotic experiences, and they're giving you weird looks. Don't worry about it. Let it roll off your back, because honestly, to live in this world as an entrepreneur, you've got to be not just resilient, you've got to be very thick skinned. You got to have the attitude of this guy right here. That's why I have him in my office, to remind me, you're not a kitty cat, you're this right here. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna go have a quick word from our sponsor. If you haven't joined the Wheel with Kelsey today, you're missing out on something big. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. And this prize is over $4,000. So this is 2 platinum tickets to the Titan Groups or Titan Networks San Diego event that's coming up shortly. It's also giving you 3 months free of the Titan Network. That's $1,000 a month each month.
Actually,
And-
less than that, Norm. You're so cute, but yeah, it's definitely less than that. But we're not. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's less than that. Okay, I'll say that it's
You know
less than
what?
that.
Let's do this. Let's sweeten the deal just because of what you just said. In like 6 months, they're going to get so much value.
Whoa.
In 6 months of Titan Network, we've seen people go from doing 20,000 a month to 100,000 a month or more. Like we've been able to really scale people up, and we've got guys.
Wow.
One of my favorite people are the guys who are already doing 7 figures, that we've been able to help them with their structure so they can actually properly scale. Because a lot of times you see these guys kind of get there with a few hero SKUs, and we're able to really help them kind of align. So 6 months for anyone, no matter where they're in their industry, their business and their journey, we'll just go ahead and extend it to 6 months for you. So you better get in that win, and you'll have 6 months of Titan as well as the tickets to come to San Diego.
Perfect. Now, did you want me to say anything? I know that the PPC challenge is coming up. I know Chris Rawlings was talking to me about that. Now, that's just something that everybody can join. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can get you guys, because there is a fee. If you guys write to me, Athena at titannetwork.com, I'll get you guys a free pass. Okay.
All right. Very good. So there we go. We got a bit for everybody. Join the, I think, Kelsey, go under an anonymous name here, and or just a alias name. That's what I'm trying to say, and get us that prize. But let's have a word from our sponsor, and we'll come right back with the wheel. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by Rebate. Attention sellers and brand owners, want to reach more shoppers and boost sales? Rebate's platform connects sellers with shoppers seeking great deals on new products. They make it easy to offer promotions, handle rebates, and ensure seamless redemptions. With countless reviews from satisfied customers, Rebate is the go-to solution to increase your sales. Visit rebate.com today and start reaching more shoppers. Now let's get back to the show. Okay, you've never seen the Wheel of Kelsey.
Oh, I'm excited. Let's go.
All right, Kels.
Big money.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
Okay, big wheel today.
All right. So thank you everyone who entered today's Wheel of Kelsey. I'm going to shuffle up these names and let's see who today's winner is. We do this every single podcast. So
It's a
let's
biggie.
see. If you are the winner, please email me, Kate@lunchwithnorm.
Oh, Brian. Tom was there as well. You were close, Tom. But Brian got it. All right, congrats.
All right. Congratulations, Brian. You know the drill. Please email me, Kate@lunchwithnorm.com, and we'll connect you with your prize.
This is so fun. I love Lunch with Norm. I'll do this every day.
There we go. Lunch, dinner, supper, breakfast.
It's amazing.
Athena,
Great.
thank you so much for being on. I really hope that you can get on, soon again. Like, let's not take 2 years for you to get on.
Yeah, no, we'll do it again soon, and can't wait for China Magic. Can't wait for San Diego. We'll get to have some fun, changing some lives. I love it when you tell your stories, when you show your case studies. Like, you're just so wonderful. So thank you for everything you do. It's an honor to participate today.
Want more great information? Don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcasts, click over here.
Lunch with Norm.